7 days after the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, one of the darkest days in American history, anonymous letters laced with deathly anthrax spores were mailed to several media services and congressional offices, killing 5 people and infecting 17 others, making this the most profound bioterrorism threat in the United States. These letters were addressed to highly influential American leaders, including those in American media offices in Boca Raton, Florida, and the offices of Senate Majority Leader Tom Daschle and Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Patrick Leahy. Anthrax is a notifiable bacterial disease of sheep and cattle, typically affecting the skin and lungs. It can be transmitted to humans, causing severe skin ulceration or a form of pneumonia. It is an infection in humans, which most often involves the skin, gastrointestinal tract, or lungs, all treated with antibiotics. Anthrax can be easily created in a lab and is incredibly durable, and the most common form of the disease is contracted when bacteria spores enter the body through a cut or scrape on the skin, or is inhaled. The spores can lie dormant for years before entering a living host, making anthrax an extremely dangerous bioterrorism weapon.
5 letters are believed to have been mailed at this time to ABC News, CBS News, NBC News, and the New York Post, all located in New York City, and to the National Enquirer at American Media Incorporated in Boca Raton, Florida, killing Floridian employee Robert Stevens on October 5, 2001. But the anthrax was not found in the building until 3 days later. Stevens was the first anthrax death in the United States in 25 years. Yet, as of 2008, no one has been charged of the attack. In June of 2008, Stephen Hatfill, a former Army scientist named a person of interest by then Attorney General John Ashcroft in 2002, won a settlement of $5.82 million in a civil action lawsuit charging that the Justice Department and the FBI invaded his privacy and destroyed his career. Just 1 month after Hatfill was exonerated, the FBI threatened to charge Dr. Bruce E. Ivins, a United States government microbiologist, vaccinologist, and senior biodefense researcher at the USAMRIID, United States Army Medical Research Institute of Infectious Diseases in Fort Detrick, with involvement in the anthrax attacks. The FBI had been investigating Ivins since late 2006, but Ivins reportedly committed suicide by taking an overdose of acetaminophen and codeine. On August 6, 2008, the FBI and Justice Department declared that the case had been solved, but speculation of the terrorist and motives still remains.
More than 10 years after the deadly anthrax attacks, the widow of the first victim here in South Florida is speaking out. The government reached a multi-million-dollar settlement with Robert Stevens' family. News Channel 5's Liz Flynn spoke with his widow just a short time ago. She joins us live from West Palm Beach with more. Liz, how's she doing?
Well, Jay, as you can imagine, this is a very difficult time for her. Maureen Stevens still gets emotional talking about her husband, Robert. Now, we just spoke with her a short time ago at her attorney, Richard Schuler's office that's behind me right over here. They just announced this week that they've received a $2.5 million settlement from the government. That is cold comfort for the woman who is still grieving the loss of her husband. Now, Robert Stevens died after inhaling anthrax from a letter at the American Media Building in Boca Raton back in October 2001. Now, he worked there as a photo editor. Tests show the anthrax came from the Army's Medical Research Institute for Infectious Diseases outside Washington, D.C. But the government so far has refused to admit responsibility. Maureen Stevens says they treated her and her family like suspects and gave her no information.
Got to my family. I hadn't got to the hospital to be told myself.
Robert Stevens inhaled anthrax from a letter, but he never actually handled the mail. Now, coming up at 6, we'll hear from Maureen Stevens as she explains how they think that Robert Stevens was, in fact, exposed to that anthrax. Right now, we are live in West Palm Beach. Liz Flynn, WPTV News Channel 5.